I am going to work in my Creative Year art journal. And to catch you up a little bit on what I've been doing, I have been going back in on my word prompts and adding some watercolor to that just to make them a little bit more artsy. I already had the sketches on the ones that I've finished, but I've been doing this when I chat with other people or just when I have a few moments, maybe when I'm watching television. So that's kind of fun. It just adds a little bit more artsy work to my art journal. Here's the dog shaking his spine. Shake your head and spine like a dog, shaking off cold water. That's the quote. I need to add some other items on this page, but I do these as I wish. I don't do them in any order. I just do them to have fun. Let's see, a couple more. These are January's. I worked in February. Here's Miss Baker, our little space monkey. I added some grays and browns to her. Isaac, I just gave a little bit of gray and a little bit of flesh tone. Yeah, and then hopping into February here, I did start me a little, this is just copy paper folded in half, but it's more of a little watercolor sketchbook. And then I add a little bit of journaling on that. And I do this during different times of my day. This is just a stamp-off page that I have. And I just put it in there more or less to add some bulk to my sketching. But I've been adding some journaling, a nice warm cup of tea, something else to enjoy as we create our art and visit with friends. And then on the next page, I did my watercolor kit here. A well-used and much-loved small set of watercolors. And then I intend to create in here. I'm not trying to get one a day or anything like that. I just do them as I am inspired. This was the red prompt for February for week 1. Things that are red, I have a video on this. I did a red visual mind map. This is watercolor paper. This is a collage of red items that I had around. And here was my written mind map for red. I wanted to show you a few more in February here. String, you may not be an angel. It's one of my favorite mind maps because the word of the day was string. And as I went through and mind mapped and asked myself all these questions, looked up the definition and a quote, it brought me to the song, which was an old Nat King Cole song, You May Not Be an Angel. So that was a fun mind map to do. But what am I going to do today? The next week in February, the prompt is not red, but blue. So I'm going to do another mind map. I've already done the written one, and I've already listed out things that are blue. And over here, I had looked up quotes. But today, what I want to work on is another visual mind map. And you can see I have this on separate pieces of paper, and then I'll put them together like this when I put it in my journal. But because this is just bond paper, I expect this to be very thin. I expect there to be some warping, and I expect my media to seep through to the other side. And I'm okay with that. I'm even okay if it splashes over here. You can see over on the upper portion here, I have my Daler-Rowney inks. I have a turquoise violet, which is in the blue-red range, but I included it. But I have blue markers. I have a teal blue. I have some blue paints, some blue in my fine line paint applicator. I have some water to spritz water on it if I wish. I have some acrylics and metallics. So I am just going to play with this blue, and I call it visual mind mapping. What I am doing is more playing with the blue hues on this page and playing with the different inks, seeing what they can do, just more or less saying, if I put something here, what will happen if? I'm not really going for the who, what, when, where, why, how, but you have all these questions radiating out from your blue color, and instead of verbally saying, why is blue blue, or where did blue come from, who first used blue, those type of questions. I have this blue color. What will happen if I just paint it on with a brush? What will happen if I do a marker? What will happen if I take my dip pen? So you're mind mapping in a very visual, artistic manner, rather than a verbal, mental manner. So I'm just going to get started. I'm just going to have fun with this page. Then I'll come back and talk a little bit more about the final result. Okay, this is where I'm at on this. It's not quite dry, the acrylic that I put on with the fine line paint applicator, but it's dry enough that I can work on it. In the thicker spots, like in the center of where these two lines intersect, is still wet. It's still wet in the spots where there's a big glob of paint. I'm going to try to avoid those. But as you look at this, well, first of all, I want to say, when I run my hand across this, I do feel a definite texture of that line, and I really do like that. But what I've noticed about this is the blue of this paint is almost the same hue as of the background, and they kind of blend in, especially as the camera is looking at it. So I either want to get some darker colors in here or some lighter colors. And I tried with this teal down in here, and I do like that, but I would love to go to this light blue again. So I am going to, and I haven't, maybe if I take this blue, which is one of those De La Rowney inks, and this is Galactic Blue. And I'm not saying that it's the lightest blue, it's just a light one that I have, and it is an acrylic ink. I have finished my blue prompt, the color blue for February. This was a lot of fun. My page is still just a little wet in here, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. This is what I'm calling a visual mind map. And as you work with this, as I said previously, mind mapping does not only have to be written and verbal. It is the mental process of exploring. You take your theme, which in this instance is the color blue, and I used inks, but you could use paint, you could use crayon, whatever media that you're using with it. You start asking these questions about it. What would happen if I put all my light colors down first and then add the dark colors? What happens if I put all the dark colors down first and add the light colors? What happens if I use a blue pigment in an ink and a blue pigment in a metallic paint? What happens if I spritz it with water or alcohol? What happens if I add a matte medium to it, a glossy medium, a gel medium? What happens if? And you keep going. You make all those connections. You have your theme here, and you go, what happens if? What happens if? What happens if? Well, what happens if I do this and this, but then I take these two and do this? Now on this side, I actually did a verbal, written mind map. And I tell you, I have as much fun doing this as I do this. Because as much as we want to say, just give me the paint and let me play, you'll be amazed at what you can learn just by taking a simple word. The color blue. Why is blue blue? Things that are blue: ink, moon, cheese, bird, flower, sky, mood, have a button, blue bunny, ice cream, a balloon, little boy blue, blue star, blue spruce, a sailor suit, a policeman's outfit, sometimes blue, crayons, butterflies, the ocean. And then for number 51, I got a blue streak. Like, a blue streak means that it's very rare. You ran across, it's something that you run across once in a blue moon. It's very rare. It's a blue streak. And then I hit some blue quotes. I like to look up quotes about the words that I'm researching. Buzz Aldrin, who was an astronaut, said, "Yet in the beautiful sea of tranquility, I could see our shining blue planet Earth poised in the darkness of space." And then I saved this. I wasn't going to. This was just my wipe-off page. And this actually became a mind map in itself, in that when I looked at this versus this, it's a lot more spontaneous, isn't it? This is a little bit more purposefully done, artistically. I said, I'm going to add lines here out of my mind map, but these just happened. Now, I will say that this has more white space on it. You see a lot more white in here, so the blues pop a little bit more. But I think it's a very good example of something that's beautiful in itself, that was purposefully done, and something that's beautiful in itself that just happened. This was a wipe-off page. And then on the back, I taped my wax paper substrate where I used my brayer to go through the ink, something I don't use a brayer much for. And then my paper towel where I used to wipe up some of the blue. So, and that was just showing the blue on different substrates of different papers. So it was a very interesting prompt. I love these color prompts. Like I said, I don't know what next week's color prompt will be, but whatever it is, if I have a mind to, I might do gold because, well, you know, gold is one of my go-to colors. So thank you for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed this, and I will see you on the next page.